Hi, my name is Ludas Butkus, and in this episode of What to Hodl, I want to do a video about the reasons for 2018 cryptocurrency market crash. Why did it drop so much? Now, I do realize that right now it's already May, and it seems that the market has turned around already and it started to go up a bit. Though still Bitcoin is going up pretty slowly, and some technical analysis experts say that there might be another uh, trip down to like 6K Bitcoin or something like that. Though, in my opinion, it seems that we are on a more stable uptrend on Bitcoin, and well, we'll see what the future brings. So I wanted to do a analysis video of what seem to be the reasons for this huge crash that uh, managed to get Bitcoin from 20,000 down to $6,000. So firstly, what I want to say is that yes, we were in a bubble. Bitcoin at 20,000 at the time of maturity of this technology, I think that's definitely too high. But I think we could have gone even higher. I think the main problem and the reason for the crash was infrastructure. So most of the exchanges like Binance, KuCoin, Bittrex, etc., they were closing down. Um, what I mean is they were closing registrations for new people. Exchanges like Kraken that have fiat deposits and for new investors to come in, a gateway, they were experiencing major uh, lags. It was basically impossible to make a trade because you needed to refresh the page for like 20 times, and infrastructure was a really big thing. And if we had the infrastructure to cover this volume, to cover this interest, I think Bitcoin could have gone even higher. But infrastructure was, I think, the key point, uh, which made that everything started to go down. Now, I'm very bullish on big exchanges. Uh, Binance, one of the biggest exchanges right now, I would even say it's the biggest one right now, in Q1 2018 reported that it has made more profit than Deutsche Bank of Germany, which is the biggest bank in Germany. So Binance made more profit than a traditional bank uh, with a huge history. So that's very interesting. Nasdaq, in a recent article, they said that they are thinking about possibilities of becoming a cryptocurrency exchange. So exchanges are big, but there still is a lack of big regulated exchanges that have fiat gateways where investors can come in, where big investors can come in. I'm very bullish on Cash, which is trying to create something like that for big investors that can come in, that has a huge liquidity, and these big funds could invest huge amounts of money. Other exchanges that I have reviewed is COS, which is also fully compliant to all the regulations and is striving to be um, a pretty good cryptocurrency exchange with fiat gateways, etc. So I'm very bullish on exchanges. I think there's still a lot of room for growth over here, and I think there can be room for several exchanges like Binance and Binance-like that have strict regulations and fiat gateways. So next, when there was this debate, why is Bitcoin dropping? A very prominent reason in the media was that, well, it's seasonality, that every single year from January to February there is a time that Bitcoin, and usually when Bitcoin goes down, the whole market follows along, and that this is just seasonality. And we can see that in 2016 that kind of happened. It doesn't seem, well, that was like 450 bucks and it has dropped to like 350. So in percentage wise that was a pretty major drop, though in the chart it doesn't really seem too much. In 2017, well, it started very early in January 3rd or something like that, and it had dropped from 1,200 to something like $800, which in percentage wise is again a pretty big drop. And then in 2018 it started, I think, over here in January, then it was a drop, and then it went back up, and then it dropped again in February, and another drop in April. And yeah, it was quite clear that it was definitely more than seasonality, but I think that could have been uh, a slight reason for this, for selling off some of the assets. But I have it for you to decide. Is it seasonality? Well, the charts seem kind of similar if we look at the start of January and February. So yeah. Next reason was Mt. Gox, which at its time was one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges, and it was shut down because of money laundering, and they basically didn't have enough assets to pay off their customers. And this is a pretty interesting phenomena that right now, when it was shut down, all the assets was frozen and there were not enough to pay out their customers. Fast forward to today, they have more than enough assets to pay off every single of their customers, and that's an interesting case, because when a bankruptcy is filled, usually it's because there's not enough assets. It's bankrupt, it cannot pay off its debts or something like that. But now they have even more, and the government of Japan, and well, not the government, the law, they don't know what to do with this, and well, there's too many assets, they need to liquidate them, and Mt. Gox is holding so much Bitcoin that it can actually move the markets. And throughout this crash, there was an element of Mt. Gox when they sold off some of those Bitcoins. Very recently, there was another article that the wallet where the main majority of the assets of Mt. Gox is stored, the Bitcoin were moved and the market instantly reacted again. So there's definitely a huge Mt. Gox effect that's happening and is keeping the prices quite low. So yeah, that's another very major factor for this Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market crash. Next, I think I could have put this further up the list, but it's basically network congestion. So when the prices were going up, and right over here Bitcoin was at $20,000, the fees have risen to levels of even up to $55 per transaction. So people who were investing in this and either putting like 100, 200 bucks into Bitcoin and then paying this much to store their own Bitcoins in their personal wallets could have realized that something is not right. Our digital money that has to change the world isn't really that good. Banks are not charging that much for regular transactions. So how is Bitcoin going to change the world? So I think something like that should have run through the minds of people. So this again just says that Bitcoin is not there yet technologically to overtake uh, the world and become the currency of the internet, because the technology isn't there yet. Yes, SegWit started being adopting more and more, which lowered the fees for exchanges, and there's Lightning Network that's coming along that should lower the fees once again. But these technologies take time to be delivered. So yeah, that was again a major problem, because uh, an exchange from one person to another for Bitcoin uh, was actually delayed because there was network congestions and not every single transaction could get into blocks and stuff like that, and that lowered the amount and the hype. And lastly, there was basically two lastly reasons for the Bitcoin crash is uh, an uncertainty about regulations for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, ICOs, etc. There's uncertainty if maybe they can become illegal in some countries, maybe there will be major regulations and stuff like that. And there was also a huge FUD from media. So when the price was going up, everyone is talking about Bitcoin, how good it is, uh, talking about other cryptocurrencies, buy, and etc. There were reports about Ripple, suggesting to buy it at $2 and stuff like that. And everyone was just super hyped. And once it started to go down, there were a lot of media reports of like there was a ban in India, a ban in China, etc., etc., and all that negative font starts to push the price down as well. So these are the reasons, in my opinion, that uh, were the causes for the cryptocurrency market crash. Again, I'm filming this in May, and the price has started to go up. We'll see if it starts going parabolic again or not. I do hope for at least an uptrend for a longer period of time. It's actually quite good right now. So yeah, hope you enjoy this video. This is all I got for you today. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.